Let's go down to Canberra now and catch up again with a Liberal Senator, this time Holly Hughes from New South Wales. Thanks for joining us, Senator. I'm pretty interested to hear your take on Joel Fitzgibbon, the one time, up until today, the Shadow Minister for Resources and Agriculture, quitting the Labor front bench. This is all about climate policy and a big struggle within the Labor Party, isn't it?
It definitely shows that the Labor Party is at war with itself, but unfortunately for the Australian people, and particularly for those in the Hunter region where Joel does represent them, the war's been lost, in effect, being won by Mark Butler and the Looney left. And you know, it just shows, and I think what Joel's done today has confirmed, that the Labor Party no longer identifies as the party of workers. It certainly doesn't support mining and industry. It doesn't look after people in the Hunter region of New South Wales, that's for certain. And I think Joel has absolutely come out and confirmed that today with what with his resignation. I was just up there the other week and looking at a lithium-ion battery factory that's about to be built before heading out to a coal mine.
Oh, come on, you're looking at wineries.
You know what? I haven't managed to get my staff that well educated to start booking those things in. We did lithium-ion battery and we did a coal mine. Both were amazing. But this is what the Morrison government's about. We're about making sure that we've got an agnostic approach to how the energy is produced. And we want to see a mix of traditional energy and renewables so that we can see a reduction in emissions,
yes,
but secure, affordable and reliable baseload power. If you live in Newcastle and you've got a job at the Tomago smelter, they've already had to be part of a load-sharing agreement in the last summer period,
yes.
peak period.
Sorry to cut you off, Senator. Sorry to cut you off, Senator. But the point here is that Joel Fitzgibbon would agree with you. He's the member for that Hunter region. He agrees with you that Labor has to have policies to look after those jobs and interests. And the fact that the left of the Labor Party is winning at the moment is good for you and the Liberal Party. It means you'll win the next election. It means Mark Butler and Anthony Albanese will go to the next election with crazy radical climate policies like they did the last election. But what you need to be worried about is that this is a bit of a play by Joel Fitzgibbon and the sensible right of the Labor Party to eventually come back and reclaim the party. I don't know, under him or under Bill Shorten? What's going to happen?
Look, I think Bill Shorten proved last election that he just wasn't up to the job. Plus, he was so captive to the left anyway that their climate policy was totally uncosted, and anything they could even come up with would have been remarkably unaffordable and just pie-in-the-sky kind of targets. They don't even have a 2030 target at the moment, yet they're somehow clinging to the election of President-elect Biden as an endorsement that climate policy needs to come back to the fore and that we need to start looking to embrace a 2050 target. It is absolutely ludicrous, and I think that we're seeing that the ALP is absolutely captive to the left. I don't see them moving away from that. If you look at the performance both in the House and the Senate, they're much more comfortable with the Greens these days, and that's where they're trying to appeal, that left-leaning Green vote, and it doesn't work in regions like the Hunter. We need manufacturing, we need mining. The Hunter region is going to be a driving economic force out of the COVID recession, and you know, when you're talking about moving to some renewable target that's going to shut down industries like the Tomago smelter, it's just not plausible.
Well, if I was a young journo in Canberra on Wednesday night, I'd be looking to see where Joel Fitzgibbon is dining and who with. Look for this Otis group, I think, the sort of climate practical group in the Labor Party, because they're the ones who have got to try and get some sense happening there. I want to ask you about the ABC. What sort of a national broadcaster do we have, flush with $1 billion of taxpayers' money every year, and it runs this disgusting, low-grade, partisan journalism to try and hit at the coalition and a couple of your colleagues?
Yeah, but then you've also got Laura Tingle, who comes out tweeting about smugness from the Prime Minister in her role as a political reporter. And how credible is that a political reporter is clearly partisan, what they put on Twitter? Deleting it doesn't remove what was said. And this is obviously a trend that is being witnessed with both Laura Tingle. Last night, I think it was salacious gossip, nothing more. And quite frankly, when we're in a situation of people losing their jobs in an unprecedented pandemic, where I'm guessing you're doing a TV show potentially wearing shorts with a tie and jacket on because you're having to quarantine and be your own technical director as well. And that's what we're talking about.
I am technical director, I'm the cameraman. Look. Look, this is the point,
You are
though,
a man
right? The
of many,
coalition has
many
been in power
talents.
for so long. I tell you what, I'm pretty proud of myself. This was like electronic IKEA, and with a lot of help from some colleagues over the phone, I managed to put it together. I'm very, very pleased with myself. But and I'll be putting in
You're
for
doing
double
better than
pay
I
too.
would.
But the point is, Senator, that the coalition has been in power for so much of the past 30 years. You've put up with so many low-grade attacks from the ABC, yet nothing ever changes. They are an increasingly green left activist organisation who thumb their nose not only at any government directives about adhering to their charter, they thumb their nose at their own board.
And I apologise on behalf of the New South Wales government that you don't have access to cable television, and that was what you were stuck watching last night.
Yes, indeed. All right, well, we better leave it there. Thanks for joining us, Senator. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.